been married for quite a while. Got a bunch of kids doing faith in style. They'll tell you that you're awesome and you're not alone. So let's start the show. Who knew Catholics could be so much fun? Greg and Jennifer and how faith is done. Screwing up and trying and forgiving. Adventures in perfect living. Adventures in perfect living.
Greetings, folks. Welcome to the program. I'm Greg Willits from RosaryArmy.com.
And I am Jennifer Willits, his wife.
Coming up in the program, we're going to talk a little bit about the Rosary. Catch up. No interviews on this one. Just how are you, friends? Good to hang out with you a little bit and say hello and spend some time just on a good old-fashioned Catholic podcast.
I know. And we're still very much in Lent. And Lily was reminding me today as I was taking her to school for extracurricular stuff. She's like, wow, Mom, you really have given up a lot of things, because we kept thinking, oh, maybe we can go to this place for lunch because it's Friday and meatless. And so we thought we had some time to kill between her activities and her social calendar. I thought, let's just have a little mother-daughter lunch. It'll be great. And so we're trying to plan for who has a good fish sandwich. Maybe Chick-fil-A has a good fish sandwich. I don't know. Sometimes they do that. Sometimes they don't. So I had her pulling up the Chick-fil-A app to see if the Chick-fil-A closest to where we were going to be had that delicious fish sandwich. And then she's like, but Mom, you said
no bread.
No fast food. I'm like, oh, and then no bread. Oh,
I didn't know you gave up the fast food.
I forgot, but I did make that promise.
What's qualified as fast food?
If it is served in I guess there should be a timestamp on this.
Yeah.
I will say maybe like if you get that food within 15 minutes, that's pretty fast. Right? Some nice restaurants get food to you fast. They'll get you your salad to you right away. But you're dining
so
for like 45 minutes.
Are you saying your main entree within 15 minutes?
Or it's going to be...
Because see, here's what happens.
Fast food restaurants.
This is the kind of thing, I didn't give this up.
No, you're fine.
But I did. If you gave it, what am I going to do?
Take Lily out, please.
Nah, that ain't even happening.
She didn't give it up, and she wants it.
Because I was actually thinking about, like, I mean, I don't know. It's Friday as we're recording this right now. Do we have dinner plans for this evening?
No.
So I was actually thinking, I thought of something that would be...
Well, tell me.
We can go back to that seafood place that opened up nearby. That's like a Louisiana seafood boil type place. You can get your food. We could go up and we could say this. I want the number 5, but don't bring it to me for 15 minutes. And just put that condition. Don't.
I will go with you, or you can have Ben go with you.
So you would consider that fast food?
I wouldn't.
They brought the food to the table.
I know. I don't know.
See, it should be fast food.
I should have put a qualifier on
I mean, so like I could go downstairs and I could make you a quick meal in 5 minutes. You won't eat it? So you'll only eat something that takes me over 15 minutes to make for you?
You're right. You're right. I should abandon whatever it was I was thinking. It's clearly bad.
I say if they have a drive-through and a mascot, that's what qualifies as fast food.
A drive-through. Okay.
Drive-through and a mascot.
Okay,
so
I can see that's your Wendy's, McDonald's.
So no clowns, no kings, no queens, no
Burger King, Dairy Queen.
So Waffle House would still fit in there.
Oh, because they sorely tempted.
They don't have a drive-through
this morning,
and they don't have a mascot. So I think that's pretty good. No, so we gave up.
I don't want to leave Ben out. This is like the last Friday.
Well, hold on,
he is home with
you're
us.
You're jumping. Just stay on target here. We're still talking about Lent, and you want to jump to our
dinner plans.
Well, no, not just. Oh, you don't want to leave Ben.
Yes.
I thought you meant like you wanted to talk about Ben and his trip home this week.
No,
I'm like, I don't care.
We can get to that later.
He's been sick. Period.
Pray for him.
He flew home, had a sore throat. Had a sore throat all
Ever
week.
Since.
Goes home in 2 days. Sucks for him. but so you're right. We don't want to forget about him for dinner. But it's always so weird when you talk about these things on a podcast here because it feels like you're bragging a little bit. But I had a little bit of a surprise today while you were gone earlier, dropping Lily off at her. Lily is on the extreme varsity lacrosse league at her school.
Oh, she is.
Well, you said extracurricular activities. She's on the all girls wrestling team, and weighs. She's in the 98-pound weight class. So big competition in 8th grade, all girls wrestling. While you were gone, I hadn't done this in a few weeks, and so I went and found the scale that is hidden in another room.
Yes.
And I got on it.
Oh, wow.
And so
oh, wow.
So, I tend to do this thing where when you're doing something, it's like, I'll just go ahead and do it. And then I sometimes go, I don't like thinking about, once I make a decision, then there's no thinking about it. I'm just doing it. And so I haven't been thinking about it much these last few weeks. I've just been doing it. And it's been multiple disciplinary things. We talked about this a few weeks ago. It's a combination of Lent, but it's also health. And I know you're not supposed to combine. So some are specifically just for health and some are specifically for Lent. It's kind of mixed up. So, so for example, I've only been having a drink on the weekends. Last weekend I had a drink on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday night and Sunday night. One drink. And I had popcorn both nights. So I kind of not eating popcorn during the week and not having any drinks. And so that's one thing that's kind of given up. And we didn't really talk about that. And I don't really think that.
And that was never really like a declaration. It's just sort of what you did, what you wound up doing.
And then the other thing, we kind of started doing this the week before Lent began, was, all the Andrew Huberman stuff that I talked about in the past already. A lot of little practices that I'm doing it. They are becoming very spiritual in different weird ways, but some of them started for health reasons, and now they're becoming penitential. Like earlier, I can't remember if it was today or yesterday, I just arbitrarily said, well, I've been doing intermittent fasting again as well. And I've been trying to go at least 16 hours, and I have like the 6-hour window or whatever it is, and where I could eat. And I've just been saying, well, I'm gonna push it an extra hour, and God, do with it as you want, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm doing it for health reasons, but then I add those little extra little sufferings. Cold showers have been great in terms of that amount of suffering, and just because really that makes me. It reminds me a little bit of when I had COVID and how easy it was to pray for other people. The cold showers are making it a little bit easier to pray for other people. But doing that intermittent fasting thing, I've also kind of eliminated all sugar and a lot of carb. I mean, most carb. I can't, other than the popcorn, once or twice on the weekends. I'm like not eating any carbs at all, and sugar is pretty much null.
Yeah.
I'm not eating any rice or pasta or potatoes.
Yeah, carbs in those forms.
Or any things like that, right?
Because vegetables is carbs, but it's a good kind.
Yeah.
That's has fiber in it.
I'm not
so
having any
good.
chips or anything. But anyway, so I got on the scale, and I've lost 10 pounds.
I thought I was seeing a change.
I
tried to tell you the other day.
I was
it's like your face is looking a little
I was
different.
like, what? And then when I saw that, I went, I need some carbs.
No, I gotta turn that around.
Maybe I need to reverse that. But it really that kind of surprised me. And so,
that's great.
But it's been I've really liked the intermittent fasting up to I normally don't eat at least until after 1 in the afternoon. I try to stop eating around 9, but there's sometimes where I'll have something at 9:30 if our dinner was really late, which a lot of times it is. Anyway, so
lately it definitely has been.
So Lent has been, I've been trying to stay up with reading the Bible commentary on Gospel of John. There was another book that I wanted to read that I haven't gotten very far. I started the first book about Jesus by Pope Benedict, and I got a good ways in that, and I was doing that on the treadmill, and that worked really well. But then you and I have been going for a walk every morning, so I have that kind of taken away that reading time. So, but just and I know I'm. It's weird. It becomes so habitual so quickly. I know I'm doing other things, like the games, the giving up the games. That was that hasn't been that big of a deal. I've been more productive because of it. I know I'm doing other things, but I honestly can't remember. And it's just.
It's just fine. God knows.
I know, but it's just nice to feel like I'm doing something, It's like that's the benefit of Lent is like you're resetting that need to do something, to live it out and to suffer with Christ a little bit so we can, be reminded of where we're headed in the redemption of Christ.
For a lot of wonderful fruits have been coming from, I think, this really focusing on our food as the bulwark of our sacrifices are coming from changing the way we eat. One of the dietary plans we've been following to great success, and I'm not saying we are all in on the keto lifestyle, okay? Let me be clear. I'm not 100% in that world, but I really like the world. I want to be like a good buddy to keto. And so all of our dinners
I've been hesitant to talk about this, by the way.
I know.
Because we're
keto can be like so divisive. Oh, whatever. Oh, no, it's paleo this, or no, it's intermittent fasting that.
And I wouldn't put a label on anything I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm just avoiding carbs and sugar. So what is that?
Yeah, exactly. And so lately, like we had this dinner, and she's been really getting more participatory in the kitchen. I was so proud of her last night. She really helped me out because I was too busy and too tired. But it was a very simple.
It's because you're not having any carbs.
Yeah,
so
that's why.
You're actually tired right now.
That's why. So we were having a really nice dinner. It was just like a simple pork tenderloin. I got an early start on it to be marinating this meat, and we're just going to roast it in the oven, and that's it. But the only other side dish that we were putting and combining with our pork tenderloin was a salad. But Lily was like, I think I can make it. And so she had never tackled anything like this before. And let me tell you, that girl did so good. It was avocado, walnut, citrus salad. And she just jumped in there. She made like this Dijon vinaigrette thing and she just tossed it. It was like gourmet perfection. I couldn't believe she did this. It was so good.
There was a little bit left over last night. You remember what I asked you?
Yeah. I forgot all about it.
So
did you eat it?
I ate it when I broke my fast today. I was right last night. Leftover salad is not good.
Kind of mushy.
It's very mushy, and the avocado was mushier. It was slimy. Just like, so I ate it.
Penitential salad. I love it.
Penitential salad. Coming up at the Willits restaurant.
That's the name of the show.
So Penitential Salad.
Salad.
No, that's a good name, but it's like it has no clickability whatsoever.
Cares?
The people who just discovered this on YouTube, our new viewer. Hi, our new listener.
Hi.
Greetings. Glad to have you here. By the way, thank you to all of you who are watching our YouTube channel and have clicked on the subscribe and the like and all those things that you're supposed to do. We really do appreciate it. We've been having a lot of fun trying to build up our YouTube channel a bit. So thank you for those of you who are watching that way. And thank you for those of you who are continuing to listen to the podcast. And let me tell you, it would be a huge help to us if you did leave comments, if you left those likes and that kind of thing over on the YouTube side. But if you're listening, particularly on Apple Podcasts, if you go over and leave reviews, we haven't had new reviews in a while. And the other day I did a search for Catholic and our show was way down at the bottom of the list. Hello, is this anything worth listening to down there? No, it's all covered up with,
other Catholic podcasts.
Different shots of Father Mike Schmitz and his different poses and that kind of thing. Anyway, thank you for those of you who are watching the program, and we've been doing other little things. We've been recording so much video. Video. So this is all part of School of Mary and building this up that we have been actively working. We're more than halfway through. But I feel like we're about to enter into a part that's gonna any gains that we've made is gonna require. But we're walking through Total Consecration to Jesus through Mary, according to St. Louis Marie de Montfort. Mm-hmm. I'm working on a brand new downloadable workbook that all of our School of Mary students will be able to download, and it'll have journal pages and other things in it that you're going to be able to. It'll have the ability to insert things later on. Basically, it's like you download it, 3-hole punch it, stick it in your favorite notebook. But we'll add things as we realize the need for these things. And so we've recorded the first 19 days.
Yes,
we have recorded the prayers, brand new every single day. And then we've been recording commentaries after that. So basically, they're like little miniature podcasts where we discuss the readings of the day. And we've never done that before with Total Consecration. That's all brand new. And that'll be one of the first things that will be available for all of our School of Mary students. And if you want to sign up and be on the wait list to be notified as soon as all this is ready, we're still a couple months away from it. But go over to schoolofmary.com and put your name in the email list right now so you'll be notified. And you'll also get updates from Rosary Army in general, but schoolofmary.com for that. But as we are going through this, literally right before we started recording the show, we recorded the last day of the second part. So it's 4 parts of Total Consecration. The first part is knowledge of the spirit of the world, and that's like 12 days, right? And then there's 7 days of knowledge of self. A lot of scripture readings from Thomas A. Kempis and St. Louis de Montfort. focusing on understanding our fallen nature and the kinds of things that Jesus is asking of us personally. And kind of it's a weird week because you read a lot of basically how you're nowhere near where you need to be as a Christian. And then part 3 is a week of focus on knowledge of Mary. And then the last week, it all culminates with knowledge of Jesus, because everything should be directed and oriented towards him. So even though he's the most important, he's the last part of the preparation process. But in week 3, every week, every part, the prayers that you say every day increase in number and I dare say even intensity. So the second week you're praying this litany of to the Blessed Virgin and the litany of the Holy Spirit every day. And in the third week, when it is a week focused on knowledge of Mary, the last thing that it says is now recite a rosary. And you and I have been going back and forth on, well, we pray the standard 5 decades of the rosary every day, but in Louis de Montfort's time, praying the rosary every day meant praying the original 3 sets of decades all the way through. So you say
15 mysteries.
You say your opening prayers, and then you say the 15 mysteries all the way through, and then you say your closing prayers, and then that's you're done. And so you and I are going back and forth. Well, how do we deal with because we don't really want to record video 7 times of us praying all 45 decades of the rosary.
All 45 decades?
I mean,
45 minutes? Or 15
decades.
mysteries?
I don't know where 45 came from.
Because that's how you feel, Greg. It feels like 45.
I don't want to do a video of, maybe I'm thinking minutes. It'll take us about 45 minutes to say the 15 decades.
And possibly 42. I think, but that's going to be the fastest because you don't want to rush through the life of Christ.
To record that 7 times.
I don't think it's necessary.
I don't think, so
I think honestly we do it once at the beginning of that 7-day period, and then we put it in a resource section, and we invite the students to go, now, you can pray this on your own. We heavily encourage you to pray the full rosary because it is a very different, richer spiritual experience. And think about this whole total consecration is going to be very monastic-like. Monks pray all day. They're constantly praying the hours. It's inviting you to a deep and rich prayer life. This is still nothing compared to what monks do. I mean, they're going far beyond what is asked of us for 7 days. It's just we're so unaccustomed to doing it because we live in the world.
To praying
to praying a full 15 mysteries of the rosary. Now, some of you are. I know some of you are already doing this. You've already written to me and shared that wonderful news, and I'm like so inspired by that. And I will tell you that there is a difference. When you go deeper, you're going to get what you put into it. So the deeper you go, the richer the experience.
We need to start walking 3 miles so we could pray all 3 sets on our morning walk.
I think we can definitely build up to that. But while we are gathering all the videos for this very special launch for the School of Mary, we need to reserve all of our recording in front of the camera and then let that be the rosary, so that counts as our also.
Are we going to pray it in Latin or in English? I think we need to do it in English.
No, for the School of Mary, it needs to be English but I do think we should have a Latin option in the resource library of the School of Mary.
So 2 things. The resource library is something I'm kind of excited for because we're always
libraries are fun.
Well, we're always looking for a place to put all the stuff that we create, and we want to make extra resources, prayers, and that kind of thing available. And so they're going to go and then School of Mary members, and our plan is to make tuition completely free. Assuming we can raise this last, what are we at, $58,000 now that we need to raise for 2023.
Can we get that tonight, please?
If you're watching right now and you can donate $58,000 so that we can just move on.
We got people to hire.
so and that's really what we're at right now is we're worried about having a holdup because we don't have the final funds that we need. But having that resource library, and then we'll just point people when we get to the end of that over to there to pray that rosary with us. But a few weeks ago, I'm really hesitant to say what I'm about to say. When we were talking about learning Latin, and I said that I was still struggling to learn the Our Father, I feel like I got it.
No, you did. You got it much faster than I did. Yeah. It took me about 4 months.
Yeah, but part of it is I just had to sit down and I had to map out both mentally and just looking at it. I had to match up the English to the Latin, and then I just had to get that. And there were a few verb tenses, and then I also came up with a couple of pneumatic devices that helped me. Oh. So there's a part where I kept messing up where I needed to say sicut et nos, and then I just basically said sin. So it's not S-I-N, but S-E-N, sicut et nos. So I got sen, and then it's een right after that, E-E-N, et ne nos. So it's E-N-N, et ne nos, inducus in tentationem. And so I can say it now. So
yes, you're doing very, very good.
Pater noster, quies in caelis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, et veniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra, panem nostrum quotidianum de nobis hodie, et dimiti nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducus in tentationem, sed libera nos malo. But did you catch the little 2 acronyms I threw in there, or mnemonic devices?
Yes.
No,
but
secret and as soon as I thought of those, and I was getting those parts right, then I started getting confused on which parts are nostra, nostris. But I think I got them.
Yeah.
I think I got them. Someone can correct me if
you're doing very
if I got
good.
it wrong. I got the Gloria Patri down, the Gloria Be. I got the Our Father. I got the Hail Mary. And I'm going to start working on learning the Oh My Jesus, Forgive Us Our Sins.
Yes.
So
and this is how far I've gotten in the St. Michael the Archangel prayer.
I didn't. Okay.
Okay. Sancte Michael Arcangele.
Oh, that's so cool already.
That's it.
That's all you got.
All I can do is say his name, but it's like,
That's so-
wow, that's awesome.
That's so dramatic.
Right?
I don't hear. I mean, the priest says, but see, if you listen to how they say the creed at the Latin Mass, then they're just like they kind of whip through it super fast.
Oh.
And Michelangelo.
Here's something
when
else
they say
I
all the
learned.
saints' names, I'm like, I don't even.
The St. Michael the Archangel prayer, when we traditionally pray that in Mass, that is a very short version. There's a much longer form that takes like maybe 15 minutes to pray. It is intense. It's like talking about our world right now.
Was it
I
Leo?
highly recommend you read the full long version of the St. Michael the Archangel prayer. I didn't even know it existed. And I was like, wait, hold on now. And I just sucked in completely. There's a great Latin resource called like latinprayers.com or morelatinprayers.org, something like that. I wish I had that URL ready to go. And maybe our wonderful producer, editor Ben could find that URL and insert it here.
Sancte Michael Arcangele,
you're saying it
defende
wrong.
nos in proelo. So defend us in the hour of conflict, be the safeguard
Yeah.
against the wickedness and snares of the devil. We know that. May God restrain him, we humbly pray, was the original interpretation. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust Satan down to hell, and with him those other wicked spirits and who wander through the world for the ruin of souls. So yeah, Pope Leo was the 13th, right? Was the original one to have composed
But
that.
it's beautiful. Go look it up.
Let me ask you, as we're continuing to do this and promoting the Rosary more and more every day, and so thankful, so incredibly thankful for the way that God has kind of orchestrated bringing us back to Georgia these last 4 years, focusing on Rosary Army again. And, even when we first moved down here, that was kind of our hope, but we didn't really know exactly how it was going to work out. And, again, so in my mind, a little bit of a blessing of COVID was when we started praying those live stream rosaries and the incredible response that we got from so many people who enjoyed that. And just that was all a part of this affirmation, this reaffirmation of the importance of Rosary Army. And, as we've been committed to praying this daily rosary now for a few years, I still find it hard to say clearly what the benefits are, in our own personal lives. Have we seen any changes? If someone said, well, what's changed in your life as a result of it? And if anything, all I could say is, well, it's made me more dedicated in my prayer across the board. The daily rosary prayer was an entry point to going deeper into other things. And I see God regularly going, okay, now a little bit more, and now a little bit more, and now a little bit more. Not in a bad way, right? Not like I'm being overwhelmed, but it started with the daily rosary. Got that under the belt, right? And then the liturgy of the hours became a thing, and then a little bit more of the liturgy hours became a thing, and then now we're praying the rosary in Latin, and now and we were just talking about the three, praying all 3 sets, all 15 decades of the original 3 sets of mysteries. And I'm going, it's not out of the question to try to do that too, and so it's a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. But can you clearly say, what has been a benefit in your mind?
The first word that popped into my mind was tethered. I feel very tethered to the life of Christ. But let me quantify that. It's not as illustrious as I wish it could sound in reality in terms of its meaning in my life. I'm growing in that tethering to Christ. Okay, that's where I am. But I feel so close to it that it's never far from me. It's like in the lens that I try to view the world, just Jesus and Mary is just, I'm very quick to go there. And I think the Rosary helps me stay in that place and try to live there. I'm trying to live in the mysteries. And I know there's so much room for improvement. I could do that so much better. And there are other days that I think I do pretty good, and other days I fall and I'm not that great and living selfishly or whatever, or pride gets in the way. But the Rosary brings me back to what matters the most. And it's all Him. And so every time I pray the Rosary, it's another opportunity to reset spiritually and reconnect to Him. I'd much rather be connected to Him than connected to, what the world offers digitally or whatever through entertainment and stuff like that. It's powerful. I can't imagine life without it. It completes me. It's just what I do. If I'm going to eat every day, I need to feed my soul every day. And this Rosary is a wonderful gourmet meal for the soul because in its core, it is Jesus. It is Jesus. And that is how you get through this world. That is how you get through your suffering. That's what helps you correct when you're falling off the path. The Rosary kind of does its own way of bringing you back. So that's how it has, I think, helped me.
I haven't told this story in a long time, but it was back in 2010. We went on a family road trip and went up to the Ohio area and went and saw some of the places I used to live in. I was a teenager in early 20s. And we were going through Columbus, and Patrick Madrid, Catholic apologist, radio host, many people know who he is, invited us over for dinner. And we got to go over and hang out with him and his wife Nancy and their kids, at least the ones that were still at home. And we went into their living room that night and we all prayed a Rosary together. But before that, we were sitting outside, having a drink, and he was cooking some burgers on the grill. And we were going through a thing with our extended family at the time, and just seeing some of our extended family falling away from the church. And it happened right before we left for that trip. So it was very much on my mind. And I told him about it. And I said, so he's got like 10 kids. And I said, are all your kids still Catholic? Yes. And he's got a bunch of siblings. Are they all still Catholic? Yep. What do you attribute that to? And I remember so clearly way back in, that was summer of 2010. And he said, the family Rosary, the daily Rosary. Daily Rosary, pray your Rosary every day. And we came back and we were sticking with it, and then we fell away from it. The kids were little. We used that as an excuse. It was hard to wrangle them every night. It was kind of, if we do it a few days a week, that's pretty good. Yeah. That was kind of our rationalization. But accompanied that with, even before that meeting that we went over to their house, a few years before that, I had read in a book, there's a priest named Father Gobi, and he had written a book for priests, the Marian Movement of Priests or something like that. Some people have issues with it, but there's a lot of good content in that book that he wrote. And one of the things that I read in there is that someone asked him kind of the same thing of how do I make this prayer of the Rosary be beneficial for the sake of my children? And Father Gobi had said, every time you finish a Rosary, you pray or make the statement, with this Rosary, I bind all of my children to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So with this Rosary, it's like you're taking your kids, you're going up to Mary, and you're wrapping that Rosary, and you say, with this Rosary, I'm binding my children to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And we've been doing that for well over a dozen years now, if not longer. I think we may have started doing that maybe when Rosary Army started around that same time. So maybe 20 years now we've been praying that. And there have been times even with our own kids where it's like, we're like, oh, are they going to be okay? What's going to happen? And then they do keep getting pulled back to Christ. Even when they make mistakes, they get pulled back, and they we see them developing closer relationships, not as close as we would like, but again, we keep saying, well, but remember when we were that age, and remember, there are leaps and bounds beyond where we were. And then I think about the fruit of Lily in particular. We've been praying that prayer since before she was even born. And here's this girl that this week, when there was vocations week at her school and nuns were visiting, that she was treating them like rock stars. She just couldn't. She's just beaming, and she's, we think that she's only 14, but we think there's a good chance she may have a vocation, and we're not pushing it. She's the one that brings it up, and it's kind of kind of an amazing thing to see. But I attribute that to the Rosary, and when the kids are stumbling, I just have to go, Mary, we have been binding them to you for all these years. We need you to step in and guide them right now, protect them, watch out for them. That to me is the number one biggest takeaway, biggest benefit of the daily Rosary. And I feel more confident in it now that we've been praying it every day for the last several years without miss. And I honestly think the last time I, quote unquote, missed the Rosary, and I didn't miss it as much as I passed out, was when I was so sick with COVID and I was in one room and you guys were in the other room praying the Rosary, and we'd connect through the iPad so that I could still be there with you. But I was so sick that I was like, I couldn't say the prayers out loud, and I was falling asleep, while y'all were praying. But so that's my excuse. I blame COVID, but.
Well, I will tell you, and I haven't really articulated this before, but I do miss regular family rosaries. I mean, we've kind of have shifted into a different season of praying the Rosary. Like Greg and I are pretty good about praying together because we are doing something unique in production that involves the Rosary, so we're able to do that. And Lily is very independent with her recitation of the Rosary, and Ben, our son, is very independent with praying because he's used to being away at college where he has to pray it kind of by himself. But I do kind of hope that we can get back to a little more than just Sunday on the way to Mass when we pray it as a family then, because I think there's something really extra beautiful and sacrificial about it. I think there's a reason why so many priests encourage family rosaries in particular, because of just how much spiritual, I think, fruits come from the sacrifice that is usually linked with the family rosary. I don't think they're easy at all, and I think that's what makes them powerful.
They're not. The family rosary is very difficult for me. But the same, and I sit there and I think it's the same reason, like when we pray grace before meals, I can interiorly pray it. I have such a hard time saying something at the same time as someone else.
Oh, okay.
Right? There's like a not an echo thing. I don't know what it is. If someone else is saying it at the same time I'm saying it, I don't feel anything. It feels very, very dead to me. And I don't.
Right.
I'm hesitant to say that, but it's like when we pray the Rosary, and the responses, I'm saying them. I'm like, I can't. It's like my concentration is shot, and I don't know why. And so that's something that's a personal struggle. That's not an excuse. I'm
sure you're not alone.
Yeah, that's a personal struggle. But like even when we pray grace before meals, it's like that's why I just stay quiet, because it does something in my brain that
we
doesn't.
We had a conversation recently with our good friend Father J. Finelli, and we got on the subject of language. And I think it was maybe having
Can I before you get too much into that, can I just say that, so we have our conversation with Father J. Finelli, we get on the iPad, and the first thing he says is, "You're looking old." First thing he says, he wasn't talking to her, he's talking to me. "You're looking old." I'm like, thanks, Father. Appreciate that, my friend.
But we talked about the efficacy of language when you don't understand what it is. Does that make it render it ineffective if you don't understand
Latin
it?
In particular.
In that case, Latin was the language we were talking about, because a common complaint is, well, I don't understand what's happening, so therefore no value.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Yeah, so it ain't good. It's still good, trust me, even if you don't understand it. Because think about the sacraments. If you were to go and receive the sacrament of reconciliation in another country, and you look for the little confessional for the English-speaking light, and many times you could be mismatched with a priest of a different language, but it's still valid because God understands. It's okay if the priest doesn't know what you're saying, or if you can really understand what the priest is saying. That language has meaning to God. And so I think that we get kind of hung up on the words have to be according to what I like and what I prefer in order for it to be valid or efficacious. And I'm proposing the idea that maybe it doesn't work that way necessarily. I think precisely because it's a challenge, precisely because it's a greater suffering and the temptation is just to take the easier path and not, I think that's where it is more spiritually powerful, because God knows, wow, he's doing it and he really is struggling, and look at him go anyway. And it's okay, I think, if it's a little empty, but you did it. You still, the words came out of your mouth and they ascended to heaven. Now, so I think that there's still value in that. but I don't know if it's theologically correct. I'd have to ask another priest about it.
I need to pray. I need to pray for more peace in praying it with other people. If I'm the leader, that's a little bit easier.
Okay.
Because then, but when we're driving, I can't do that.
No,
You're right.
When
we're
driving,
and so that's been when we're, again, when we pray at going to mass on Sunday. That's Lily normally leads it, and it's wonderful that she leads it. But it's just it's such a struggle for me to respond, because if we get like half a second off, then I start stuttering anyway. And if you're just a little bit ahead of me, then I'm like, our Father, and I'm like, I don't like that stammer feeling. It's like because then it's not just a tongue tied. It actually there's a weird feeling that accompanies it that I don't like.
We're not perfect.
So
we keep trying.
It's an interesting conversation, though, and it just we bring that up because praying the Rosary is not always easy, but there are blessings and benefits in doing it. And the tethering thing that you said, that's spot on. I mean, like I said, I just feel like I know I'm doing something good every day. I'm doing something good every day, and I never have to go to bed. If I prayed my Rosary, I never have to go to bed saying I didn't do anything today to grow in my relationship with God. At least with my Rosary, I spent at least 20 minutes meditating on Jesus Christ, even if my mind was in and out all over the place, that I was meditating on the mysteries of Christ's life. I was asking his mother to come into my life and to help guide me to her son. I at least did that. And like I said, the Rosary normally becomes a springboard to doing other things and spending even more time. So you got to put on your headset, Jennifer, because we got some feedback about the Rosary. A few weeks ago, you may remember I asked about stealth rosaries and what are some creative ways that you are able to try to pray your Rosary wherever you might be. And we heard from our friend Mary in New York, who had a few suggestions for us. And here's what she said.
Greg and Jennifer, you had asked for ways to sort of sneak in a Rosary during the day. Well, one of the things I'm started to do is often at work I have to sit through trainings that are irrelevant or sadly in 2023 downright blasphemous. And I don't like having those things worm their way into my consciousness. So I will sit there and sneakily have a Rosary in my pocket, or if it's a Zoom training, I will turn off the sound on the training and just pray in my head the Rosary while I am in a work training. Sometimes I will sneak out to, quote, go to the bathroom, but I will sneak in several Hail Marys and an Our Father. So that's what I do. The Stealth Rosary, one of Mary's titles is Destroyer of Heresies. So she is very, very wonderful and useful in doing that. He. Was that short enough for you? Okay, love you both. Keep up the good work.
She did great.
Yeah, that was Mary. Congratulations, that was your shortest voicemail of all time.
Applause.
Well done. Yeah, she heard my plea. It wasn't just to you though, Mary. It was just we people in general. We love feedback, and you can send both your audio as well as your. Hold on, I got another one for you.
Oh, another
audio as well as video feedback. You can send it to go to rosaryarmy.wetransfer.com. That's a website. rosaryarmy.wetransfer.com, and there will be a little form right there where you can just put in our email address. Well, actually, no, on that you don't have to worry about it. You just put in your email address, attach your file, and send it off, and I'll get it through the magic of the internet. So if you want to record video or audio, but 2 minutes or less, because then I don't have to edit it. See, I was able to just take Mary's voicemail and play it just like that. There was one piece of, or a few pieces of mobile app solutions. We were talking about how do we deal with the Rosary Army app. Actually, you can take off your headset for a second here. We'll go back to that in a moment because there's one more piece of audio feedback. But we talked about Rosary Army's mobile app a few weeks back when we were talking about Latin. We're recording these Latin rosaries, which we still haven't finished yet, and wanting to include this. Well, great news is, and this really is great news, the way that we are having School of Mary designed, more and more, you can have a separate mobile app, but you don't necessarily have to have a mobile app. If you have a fully responsive website that does everything that you need to, you can create shortcuts and jump right to it and that kind of thing, and it's just as easy as using a mobile app, and it provides a lot more flexibility in adding new content on a regular basis. And so a lot of the content that will be on Rosary Army's School of Mary website will allow us to put content that you're going to be able to get on the go, and it's not, so that's going to allow us to continue growing. But what we know from just development in general for the mobile app, we launched this in 2018. All mobile apps have a certain shelf life unless they are constantly being rebuilt, oftentimes from the ground up as new technology is coming along. And so we're looking at, this is a perfect time for us to be launching School of Mary in the next few months, because there will be many years of a transitionary period where once your phones die or whatever it might be, and Apple's no longer supporting a particular level of programming, by that time we're going to have so much over at School of Mary that you may not even be using the app anymore. So we just kind of take that into consideration. We'd love to keep developing the Rosary Army app in perpetuity. It's great now. It still works now. There's no issues right now, but we just assume at some point Apple is going to make the new phone that's going to break it, because that's what they've done in the past. One of my favorite video games of all time cannot be found anywhere. It's called Green Thumbs. It's a great game. I love that game. It quit working on
the planting?
The little plant thing. The little green. You had like 5 little planters on a windowsill.
Oh,
do you remember
really?
me playing that game?
I mean, I would love to see that image. I mean,
it was like 5 little things on a windowsill, and then there were seeds that were falling, and you had to rearrange the planters on the windowsill.
Yeah, there was something kind of relaxing about that game.
I love that game. Can't find it anywhere. It's because Apple, their technology increased. So there's been a lot of apps like that. We kind of assume in the next, 5 years or so that's going to happen to the Rosary Army app. We don't know for certain, but there's a good chance. So we're kind of building our contingency plan with School of Mary to be able to do that. Well, we mentioned something like that, and we actually got a few good ideas, both comments that people left over at YouTube, as well as an email. Hannah sent us an email after listening to that particular podcast, and she said, I know you want to make the app a one-stop place for the Rosary, but you could consider a second app with the Latin version of the prayers, so a family of Rosary Army apps. And Hannah, your comment actually sparked a discussion that has been going on for the last few weeks that had us talking not only to the developers we're working with to build School of Mary. God willing, we'll have the funds to continue that project, but also the developer of the original Rosary Army app. And it's a great idea, but unfortunately, again, because of the way that the technology has already changed, that the Rosary Army app, even if you were to go in and try to swap out the audio, it just won't work anymore. The technology's changed so much that Apple has it in there now and has accepted it as it is right now, but we probably wouldn't be able to resubmit even an almost identical app without it getting rejected from Apple, and it would require much more development time than we can afford, and that our app developer, who was so generous in volunteering time, than he can actually give us right now. So a little bit of a rock in a hard place, but we actually really liked that idea. We're like, that's kind of an interesting idea. And then we were thinking, well, maybe we can make that one available completely free, because we didn't know if as many people would use a Latin version and so on and so forth. But again, I think that the School of Mary website is going to take care of a lot of those things, and you're going to be able to access it. Our developers have really kind of emphasized that probably is a better solution than ever going down the app train again. But we also heard from Jim over on YouTube. He said for the app, you could consider a few things. For one, the app could default to either not having the audio clips, or it could just have a default set loaded into it. Again, a bunch of programming that have to be done that we don't have the money to do right now. If someone wants Latin or some other content, perhaps they could download it into the app where it would remain unless someone configures it to remove those clips. Again, all great ideas, but just not financially or technologically doable at this point. Jersey Mike, good hearing. Jersey Mike was leaving a bunch of comments, and it was great hearing from him. He says, I've downloaded apps before where the first time you log in, it downloads megs of data before opening. You can also check if the user's on Wi-Fi before automatically downloading and asking the user if they want to continue. All great ideas. For now, we're going to see how we can make the School of Mary app as beneficial as possible. Once people have registered with it and they have those login credentials, you should be able to plug in and be able to set favorites and that kind of thing. So great things. Thanks so much for reaching out and sharing some of those ideas and helping us kind of troubleshoot and think through that. Again, you can either send emails and voicemails to feedback@gregandjennifer.com, or we love to hear your voices and see your faces. Upload a video and send it over to go to rosaryarmy.wetransfer.com. So we got one more piece of voicemail feedback that came in just a couple days ago. Now, did you read the email that I sent out or watch the video that I sent out to our Rosary Army list yesterday for people that were subscribed.
I haven't seen that one
Okay.
yet.
So this is going to be all new to you. You didn't listen to Tammy's voicemail or anything else. Let me tell you, this is something special. Take a listen to this from Tammy.
Hi, Greg and Jennifer. This is Tammy Pilkerton. Hope you remember me. I'm a longtime supporter. I've been listening to your Rosary podcast for probably 20 years. I think they've been around that long. And then I've been using your Rosary Army app since it came out. And I wanted to thank you for doing that because it really came in handy, especially in the past year with my dad. He cannot hear women's voices that well. So anytime he was like in the hospital or just not able to pray it on his own, I would go there and pray the rosary with him, and I would pull up your app and play the rosary, and he just would get right into the rhythm, just like if we were in church, and it was awesome. And then it especially came through in a big way this past couple of days. He's been like your mom, Jennifer. He's been suffering with dementia and several health issues over the past couple of years, and last night he passed away. And we said the rosary with your app earlier in the day, and then when it came time for the end to come to pass, I wanted to do it again just because it just was the right thing to do. So we ended up doing the joyful mysteries, even though it was still Wednesday, and we were able to do the rosaries at his bedside. And then he was a avid singer. He was a very important member of our choir up until COVID, and he used to sing How Great Thou Art almost every night when he was going to bed. So we sang that and a few other songs. And then he used to sing solos at church at Christmas time, and he would sing Oh Holy Night. And so we sang that for him, and he passed on the very last note of that song as if he knew it was the end. And it was such a blessing, and I really don't think I would have been able to lead the rosary with my siblings at that point in time. I just wasn't strong enough to be able to do it on my own. So thank you. Thank you. God bless.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
I thought that I wouldn't get choked up again. I got choked up when I listened to it yesterday. And,
That's a beautiful,
isn't that fantastic?
beautiful witness.
And we hear that. And I mean, listen, I don't.
Now and at the hour of our death.
Oh, yeah. And so I again, we're doing this. We're doing a Lenten giving campaign right now. And I didn't share that voicemail. I told the story that she said in the video that I sent to people. And just trying to say, we don't plan anything like that, right? You can't plan anything like that. But there's the fruit, right? And by their fruits, you know them, and you can see how God is producing fruit through this ministry. And that's why we ask for funds to help keep growing it and doing even more, because we just think of all the Tammys out there who have stories like that, and we've heard it from other people that prayed, with our audios, with the, the things that we've created, with their loved ones at the hour of their deaths. And we know even people that, as they were dying, had promised to pray for Rosary Army. And so we take it very seriously when we hear stories like Tammy's, that this is not a trifling hobby. Rosary Army is not just a passing thing. It's been going on literally for 20 years this month. And never would have met. It's probably 18 years, Tammy, that we've had those audios, because we started podcasting 18 years ago this month. I think it was maybe later on in 2005 or 6 when we recorded the audio rosaries for the first time, I think. So they're at least 17 or 18 years old. And those have been downloaded literally millions and millions and millions and millions of times. I haven't looked in a while, but the last count was like 10 million times all told, all these different rosaries. That's a lot of rosaries. Praise God, right? So, and then on top of it, we keep thinking of what else can we do? What else can we do? It's kind of like when you start praying your daily rosary, then what other prayers can I do? What else can I read? How else can I grow in my spirituality? What else can we do? And there's and I don't want to say blame. I put the onus of this on our total consecrations to Jesus through Mary. It's also coming up at the end of this month on March 25th. It'll be 20 years since, we made our consecrations to Jesus through Mary for the first time, 20 years. Mary wants us to be disciples of her son. And there's a enthusiasm, right? That you do want to drop everything and run after Jesus, and you want to bring everyone along that you possibly can with you. And so it's so edifying because we hear it from people. We hear stories like Tammy's from people. We don't hear it all the time, but we know that there are many more that we've never heard of people being impacted. Today I sent a thank you note to someone who made a donation the other day from Bulgaria, of all places. How does someone in Bulgaria find a couple of Georgia yokels who are trying to promote the Rosary? I don't know, but this is having a major impact around the world, whether we like it or not. And so just when Tammy said that, and I don't want to turn that into a sales pitch to give, but, if you heard that, you were moved, well, help us out if you would right now. And if you can't give, we understand. We really are in a huge amount of need of prayer right now. Your novenas, your masses, if you're a priest offering up masses for Rosary Army right now, that probably would be better than anything. And some of your Lenten sacrifices, if you could offer it up for Rosary Army, we'd appreciate it, because we just have this, there's a drive. Again, that's the wrong word, but there's this compulsion. I feel a sense of urgency. That's what it is, that we need to be, this is so needed right now. What Rosary Army is trying to do, what we're trying to do with School of Mary, the impact, the potential impact for this could be huge. But, we're talking to all these different people, like we're talking to someone who's going to help us with getting the word out more, and then they're talking to developers who are going to help us to build the website. Well, these things all cost more money than we have right now, but we're moving forward and doing it, and just absolutely certain that we're supposed to do these things because Mary is worth it. Because why is Mary worth it? Because she knows that everything that we're doing is for her son, Jesus. And everything that anytime we bring someone to her, she's going to point us to her son. And she's going to help you to have a relationship with Jesus unlike any that you've ever had before. And just, Tammy, my goodness gracious.
We'll be praying for the repose of his soul. Absolutely.
And this morning when I went for a walk by myself, I prayed for your dad's soul. I asked him to pray for Rosary Army. I just am so humbled by a story like that, and to know that there's a guy who has faced his own judgment right now, his particular judgment, who in his remaining hours listened to us praying the Rosary, and that's something that's hard.
It's very humbling.
It's humbling. And it's hard to comprehend. It's just so hard to comprehend that some of the last Hail Marys he heard were from us, and so thank you.
Well, we are very honored to have played any little part in that. It's just we're just very humbled by it. So thank you so much for sharing that story, and we'll be praying for you too.
Yeah, thank you to all of you for hanging out with us, for being a part of the program, for supporting Rosary Army. You can go to rosaryarmy.com/donate. If you'd like a rosary, we'd love to send you one. Just go to Rosary Army and fill out the form for that, and follow the instructions, and we'll take care of that as well. If there's anything else we could do for you, if we can, we will. Feedback at gregandjennifer.com is the way that you can get a hold of us. And again, just thank you for spending your time with us. Whether you're watching us on YouTube, if so, make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe. Thank you for that. Or if you're listening to us on the go, wherever you might be, please know that we keep you in our prayers, and we ask you to do the same for us, especially if you make sure that you pray your rosary today and every day.
And do whatever it takes to be holy.
We'll talk to you in a few days, folks. God bless.
Bye.
Have a great one.